Level up your business. Get my free insights every week at stevepreda.com/newsletter. Steve Preda here with the Management Blueprint, and my guest is Robert Brill, the CEO of Brill Media, a leading media buying agency specializing in precision advertising for business growth. Under his leadership, Brill Media has been recognized 11 times by Inc. 5000 and the Financial Times 500. Robert, welcome back to the show.
Steve, thanks for having me. This is great to be back. Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you. After 2.5 years, lots of things happened. So we're going to dive into all of those things, but let's start with your personal why and how are you manifesting it in your business, Brill Media?
I mean, my personal why is ultimately I'm focusing on becoming an owner, not an operator. Spend more time with family, less stress, more happiness. Because, if I think about the last 5 years, the most cherished times that I think about are times that I've spent, on vacation or going to Disneyland or going to baseball games with my family, all the fun stuff. And it's not about the fun stuff necessarily, it's about the fun stuff with family. So more of that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Those times with the kids don't come back. The business is going to be around for a while longer, much
Yeah.
longer. So prioritizing this is a really good idea. So tell me what happened the last 2.5 years since we talked together. What has changed in your business?
We've really focused in on evolving our solutions. For many years, we've been focused on agencies, and we continue to be focused on agencies. If you search for white label media buying on Google, we're the top 1 or 2 results. And that's because we've carved out a really strong position helping agencies do media buying and earn revenue, create stickier client relationships as a result of the work we do, plus combining their work. What we've learned over the years is that no amount of good media buying can overcome when the messaging is wrong. And even if you look at search engine optimization or social media, at the end of the day, it's just an amplification of an existing message. And if you're spending lots of time and energy and notably money delivering a message that is wrong, worst case scenario, you're confusing the marketplace. Best case scenario, you're only losing money. But obviously, neither of those are the desired outcome. So before we help clients buy advertising space or post on social media or do SEO or generative engine optimization, we really want to dial into the types of messages that are most interesting to them. The next part is also, even if you have the right message and you have the best media buying in the world through Brill Media, none of that matters if you have a leaky bucket. And the leaky bucket is when you pay a lot of money to get a Google search ad to run and someone clicks and then they never hear from you again. Because at the end of the day, it takes more than one touch or a few touches to get someone to buy from you. So our responsibility kind of evolves into this growth engine of understanding the motivation behind why the people will buy from your company, then delivering the message, then getting people to convert, overcoming what we're calling the 81% gap. We can talk about that, but then getting people to actually see you everywhere so that you become the inevitable choice. And then the fifth step is at the very beginning, understanding the KPIs, the success metrics for every step of the process. So it's not just media buying anymore.
Yeah, no, I definitely noticed that it's not just media buying, it's not just precision advertising. It sounds like you help them strategize as well what the right message would be and then convert those leads into customers. So essentially, it's the whole growth engine that you are building for companies. Is that right?
That is exactly right. It's a growth engine.
So what is the framework? Because you remember, this is a framework podcast.
Yeah.
So describe to me, and you actually mentioned step 4, step 5. I don't know what first 3 steps. So can you go through the 5 steps and share with the listeners what that looks like?
So step 1, setup. Who are you talking to? What's unique about your audience? What's unique about your business? And how do you help them deliver transformation? So that when we talk about setup, there's a few subsections in there. There's a super consumer. We talk about the super consumer as someone who will evangelize for your company. They will pay you what you're asking. And in my opinion, most importantly, you like working with them. Most people,
basically, sorry, so you want to find the super consumer, you want to articulate who the super consumer is,
yes.
and then target your growth engine to the super consumer?
The first step of the growth engine is simply defining, one of the first steps is simply defining who your super consumer actually is. So step one is setup. And inside setup, there is your super consumer, your unique advantage point, your proprietary system. And the reason we talk about the super consumer, a lot of companies, especially big corporations, they'll talk about total addressable market. Everyone who can possibly buy from you. It's too broad. They also talk about small and mid-sized businesses, and commonly people talk about the ideal customer profile, which is anyone who can extract value from your company. In our opinion, that is too broad as well, because if you dial into the super consumer, if you understand the people who you want to work with, who will evangelize for you and who will pay you what you're asking, you have a subset of people so that when you define them, there is a clear, describable transformation that you can provide that helps you become the inevitable solution for that group of people. When you know what those group of people want, what their desires are, what keeps them up at night, what they're experiencing on a day-to-day basis, when you understand what they're saying to themselves, what they're saying to other people, what they're searching for, when you understand the psychology behind the person, you can actually craft and carve out a position that is highly valuable. And the key part for us is that this is about commoditization and decommoditization. When you talk about lawyers, doctors, dentists, accounting firms, any retail location, most of these places are commoditized. What commoditization means for us is your website says, if you're an accountant or you're a CPA, your website says something that every other CPA in the area says. If you're a dentist and you're doing Invisalign, you're saying something that every other dentist in the area says, which means that you can swap out the logo and swap out the photos of the people, and it's the exact same thing. The consumer cannot tell the difference between one dentist and another, one accountant and another, because you guys are all saying the same things. So the way you decommoditize is by simply talking about your super consumer, who do you actually want to serve, then carving that unique position for those people. And the example would be an accounting firm that we spoke to that really focuses on the trucking business because they just happen to have a large degree of experience in that space. So don't say that you're a generic accountant that does your books and will do your taxes and all these other things. We're the #1 accounting firm for truckers in America. That's unique.
Yeah, love it. Okay, so step one is setup. So who you're serving, who is your super consumer, what are the unique advantages, proprietary system, decommoditization. What's step two?
Step two is awareness, driving awareness with your message. Our idea here is that now that you know exactly who you're talking to, how they can achieve transformation with you, when you have the ability to really define how they will engage with you and what they'll get out of it that's different than anyone else in the area or the country, that's when you deliver the message. That's when you deliver ads, you post on social media, you say things that are going to attract people. There's a whole subset of activity behind that in relation to levels of awareness. The #1 mistake you see on social media that businesses make is they are posting content that is irrelevant to the audience. And the irrelevancy to the audience has to do with how aware the user is. When people are unaware that they have a problem, it doesn't mean that they don't have a problem. It just means they don't realize that they have a problem. So your responsibility when you're speaking to people who are unaware is to simply get them to understand that they actually have a problem. You're not trying to get them to start now or book a call or get your free diagnostic. You want to trigger in their head to say, oh, I'm dealing with this type of experience. I'm a trucking company and I really don't have good accounting. I didn't realize I have a problem. And the success for your marketing is simply when the person says, oh, I actually have a problem now. You're not going to see that in your HubSpot. You're not going to see that in any meaningful metric. But when you start to post on social media things that illuminate the problem that you solve for, 3, 4, 6 months from now, you start to see this wave of marketing activity that does result in activity in your HubSpot or your CRM, for example. So step 2 is awareness, simply delivering the message.
Okay.
Step 3 is conversion. Conversion is simply, hey, click on this ad or see my post and download the guide take the diagnostic, take the interactive quiz, watch a video, whatever it is in exchange for an email address, name and phone number, that type of thing.
Mhm.
Now, here's the key insight there. People are not ready to buy after they submitted their contact info. That's another meaningful point that businesses overlook. They think, well, a lead just came into HubSpot. Well, clearly they're ready to spend $50,000 with me. But, but think about the experience. Maybe I spend 2.5 seconds on an ad. I spend 20 seconds on a landing page. No one's going to spend any meaningful amount of money over 22.5 seconds of engagement.
Yeah. Good
All
point.
they're saying is, hey, for a moment in time, what you said to me was relevant. And that's it. And this is where a lot of companies stop. They say, well, I'm getting bad leads. They're not converting into business. Or they say, I got a click and they visited my website. It's not turning into business because and then the solution to that is you're not warming people up. So you've got to overcome this 81% gap, right? So after someone converts, and for e-commerce, it's slightly different. People maybe visit your site or they add something to the cart and they don't purchase yet. But going back to B2B and professional services, you've got to overcome this 81% gap. There's a study by 6 Sense, the account-based marketing firm, that says 81% of buyers will only talk to a vendor after they've decided to work with the vendor. The implication for that is staggering, and the number is going to increase by 2030 to like 95, 98%. What that means is companies are not going to get a chance to sell people anything. There's no sales conversation. There's no credibilities. There's no case studies. There's no testimonials. There's no, hey, here's why you should work with us, which means all the information that would have been supplied by the salesperson now needs to be supplied by the marketing.
Mm-hmm.
All the case studies, the testimonials, the credibility markers, you're a member of the Chamber of Commerce, all of that needs to be delivered in marketing, and it's no longer going to be delivered in a sales conversation.
Interesting. Yeah.
So step 4 is close.
That's the conversion. Don't we have a nurture thing? A nurture step?
Well, so we're calling close the nurture. Close is effectively the nurture step.
Okay, got it.
So it's the activity to achieve the close, which is the nurture. So what we're saying is retargeting ads. And again, here's another common mistake that businesses make. Most or many businesses will pummel the person with the same ads that got them into the funnel. And that's worthless because you've already delivered that message. The user's beyond that. What the user needs to see are the case studies, the testimonials, the credibility markers, all the reasons why that company should be the company they choose. The user needs to see the email marketing, up to 45 emails over the course of 100 days, somewhere around there.
45 emails?
Yeah, 25 to 45, but we recommend 45. The reason for that is, first of all, the user's not going to read all of them. Secondly, the user's only going to pay attention to the things that they're actually interested in. So retargeting ads, email marketing, and professional services, the last component is LinkedIn social preheating. LinkedIn social preheating is the simplest thing. Anyone listening to this can take action on this today. Go to Sales Navigator, create a list of all the people who are in your CRM. Find them on LinkedIn. When they post something, like their post. That's it. Spend 20 minutes a day in the morning liking everyone's posts of the people who have expressed interest in your business. Or alternatively, do the same thing for people who you want to work with who don't know you yet. The reason that's valuable is because, number one, they get notifications and sometimes emails around, Steve Preda liked your post. Steve Preda. Over the course of 2 weeks, I've got to pay attention to Steve Preda. Name sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Oh, and here's the ad from Steve Preda. And here's the email about the transformation he provides. So by the time you or your people call him, Steve Preda, I've been meaning to talk to you. Or they call you and say, Steve, I see you everywhere. So the LinkedIn activity plussed up with the email marketing and then the retargeting ads makes you the inevitable choice to a small group of people, because you're not trying to get millions of customers unless you're in like retail and e-commerce. You're trying to get 20 that are going to pay you $10,000 to $50,000, right? To those 20 people and the 100 people who maybe don't convert, you're everywhere. You're the inevitable choice. The 5th step in this process is ultimately at the beginning of this, what we do is we set KPIs. How many sales qualified calls do you need? How much revenue per month do you need? There's clients who are members of Provisors. I'm a member of Provisors. How does your marketing impact your Provisors people? So the core idea is we see a lot of companies that go into the marketplace and they're doing point solutions. Hey, I'm going to try Facebook ads. It didn't work. I'm going to try Google ads. I'm posting on LinkedIn. all these things where it's like, they should work. Why doesn't it work for my business? And the answer to that is because you don't have a unifying strategy. They all serve different roles in the marketing process. So when you know the difference between an unaware consumer and what they need to hear versus a solution-aware consumer and they're on Google, you now know you have different metrics and KPIs. So we want to prevent companies from going on this treadmill of point solution to point solution for years and spending lots of money and getting very frustrated, to have a unifying strategy and then deploy activity that's actually going to be beneficial to the growth of the business.
Love it. So the SPIKE framework is setup, super consumer, unique advantage, proprietary system. Number 2, awareness, add social, then conversion, which is basically email capture, diagnostic video, white paper, whatever. And then you do the nurture or close, which is retargeting, email sequence, LinkedIn social, preheating. Interesting. And then the KPI, how do you measure, what are your targets and how do you get there? Basically.
That's it. Yeah, that's the growth engine.
So one thing that you mentioned, proprietary system. What do you mean by that, proprietary system?
The only unique things that exist in the world, truly unique, are technological innovations. The iPhone, when Apple created the iPhone, that was unique. When Ozempic came out, that was unique. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is, I'll give you an example. If you're a lawyer, you're a dentist, you are an accountant. If you're a lawyer, you cannot deviate. It is literally you're dealing with the law. What you have to do as a lawyer has been dictated in legal documents for a long time, depending on the field of law that you study. You cannot deviate from that. You have a process that you have to follow. But what you do have, what's unique, is the way you think about it, the processes that go along inside your organization to ensure that you're successful, the way you steward clients. Look at marketing. We're a highly commoditized industry. There's 1 million people on Upwork that do some sort of marketing work. There's 40, 50,000 agencies in the United States that all do some type of marketing work. If I go to the marketplace and say, hey, I do Facebook ads, guess what? There's 10,000 people who also do Facebook ads. That's not unique. What is unique is the system and processes that we've developed around how we do Facebook ads and how we think about marketing. The first step we do with our clients is we develop a proprietary system. The thing that is unique about the way they approach the world. I was just doing some thinking about roofing. I have some notes here. The Roof Guard Lifetime Protection System. What is that? I don't know. But you know what? A roofing company needs to have something called the 7-point storm shield inspection, the precision roof blueprint. The idea is you have something that no one else has, such as this precision roof blueprint, that you can point to and say, look, you can get roofing from anyone, but only we have the Roof Guard Lifetime Protection System.
Yeah, got it. So it's not a marketing system, it's more about productizing and branding your services.
Exactly. So you need a 3, 5, or 7-step system that you can point to. So when we have sales conversations, we have a visual for the growth engine. The reason that's important is because you need to be able to hook into the buyer's mind. And one of the ways you hook into the buyer's mind is the buyer saying, look, they have this thing called the Roof Guard Lifetime Protection System. I don't know, that sounds real. And here are the 7 things that you get when you get the Roof Guard Lifetime Protection System. It's a way for people to not just get excited about your business, because that lasts a very short period of time. They need to go to their husband or wife, or they need to remember a very pithy, short perspective on what the conversation was about. Oh yeah, hey, husband or wife, they have the Roof Guard Lifetime Protection System. Here's what it is. Here's a visual of it.
Okay, that makes sense. So switching gears here a little bit, things are changing very fast in this business, and you want to make sure you put your family first. So what is one thing that you're actively trying to figure out in this business going forward?
I mean, the most fascinating, exciting thing that I'm doing right now is something that I've always wanted to do and never had the skills for, that I now suddenly do, which is building actual software that is valuable for us and our clients. So for example, we have a framework on LinkedIn. The framework on LinkedIn, in very simple terms, is you like the posts of the people who you want to sell to. For the value of the LinkedIn algorithm that's very low, low value. The LinkedIn algorithm doesn't place much benefit on that. It's good for us from a sales perspective, but from the algorithm, it's not that interesting. You post content on LinkedIn, it has to have a unique perspective, opinion, right? Because a lot of people can write with AI. You don't write with AI, you say something that's unique and per your perspective. Maybe AI helps you write it more eloquently in little bits and pieces. But even that by itself, it's hard to get traction. The way you get traction on LinkedIn right now is you comment. I'll get 80 to 100 views on a post. I'll get 400 to 800 views on a comment. And the comment is the engine behind more visibility on LinkedIn. And this tracks back to the question you asked in just a moment. The key point on LinkedIn is you're not just saying, hey, great job, I like that, or I totally agree with you, or like the hands up emoji, this is amazing. That's not the comment that I'm talking about, because that's low value. It's also not AI written content, because that's low value. It'll just deprioritize your content. When you post content on LinkedIn, you have 3 sections on your comment. Compliment. You're right, marketing is highly commoditized. I fully agree with you there. Second section, expand. You know, when we work with clients, especially highly commoditized businesses like doctors, lawyers, and accountants, the first thing we do is we help them decommoditize their business. That's the second section, that's expand. Third question is ask. What's the first step you choose? What's the first step you deploy when you come across a highly commoditized business? Compliment, expand, ask. So now guess what? We built an app that I'm using. All you need is like 5 or 8 posts a day that I'm using. It's AI powered. I put in a link for Opus 4.8, gives me a perspective on what I could say. I get 3 options. I copy it. I write my own commentary around it, so it's not just fully AI written, because I want it customized to me. I post it. I go back to the app. I put the content that I wrote back into the app. So a few things are happening. Number one, any of our clients can now use this app to write highly engaging commentary on LinkedIn. It starts to learn your particular voice and how you write, so that the AI becomes more powerful in writing in your style. So I don't know what it's called. A micro app, a business app. This is not something that I'm going to go to the marketplace and be like, here, spend $10 a month to buy this service. It's just an added value for our clients.
Love it.
Those types of apps are super powerful. I get on sales conversations. I understand the business problems that businesses have. I build apps. Like right now, I'm in the process of building a media planning app that actually becomes a replacement for how we develop proposals. One component of that app is going to have a diagnostic section, which means you give me some information and it'll spit out information about what you should do for your marketing that, number one, follows our framework, the growth engine, and number two, is based on the historical knowledge that we have across all of our clients, but generalized by industry, not specific client names, but takes the best of what we do and makes it so easy that someone who doesn't have great deal of knowledge in digital advertising can get a highly pertinent proposal and diagnostic ready for them with the click of a button after talking to someone for 15 minutes.
Very impressive. So you're building these apps, and essentially you are empowering your business with these apps. So some of the stuff can be automated that you have done in the past. So if you had, Robert, if you had a magic wand and you could fix one thing in your business in the next 12 months, what would that be?
I mean, look, just to be completely honest, I understand this concept between the difference between an owner and an operator. The short answer to that question is I want to be an owner, not an operator. So I'm looking at an operator, someone who's in the day-to-day. They're the practitioner. I mean, I'm 23 years in the advertising business. I'm 13 years in my business. I love this business. You're not going to see me become a real estate agent, or I'm not going to be hawking. I think I probably said this last time. I'm not going to be hawking crypto, or whatever the case is, right? This is my life and this is my passion. For so many years of my life, I've dedicated my interests, my hobbies, my professional time to becoming a better practitioner. My goal now is to become an owner, which means that the business operates without me. I get to focus on the projects that I want to focus on, which I'm already doing to a degree. I have a phenomenal director of accounts. Her name is Linda Flores. She is killer. She scares me sometimes. We're on calls. I'm like, holy cow. If I was not the owner of the business, I'd be scared. In fact, you're scaring me, Linda. You're getting things going. People should be scared of you. That's what a good operator, that's what a good, basically a director of account, operations person does. She's phenomenal. But at the end of the day, if I choose to be on an island for 6 months out of the year, the business operates fine. We're not there yet. That's what I'm focusing on.
So what's missing? You said you're already spending some of your time developing these apps, the stuff you love. So what would you have to let go in the
Yeah.
next 12
Ah.
months to get there?
I recently read the book, The E-Myth, about a year and a half ago. And one of the most insightful perspectives I got from the E-Myth is this. And people are going to hate this. Like, people who are not entrepreneurs will look at me like I'm the devil. Okay. But this is not my idea. This is from the E-Myth. And the idea is processes, systems, standard operating procedures are effectively the safety net for the success of a company, which means instead of hiring incredibly expensive people inside your business, you can hire for many roles the minimum level of qualification. And the standard operating procedure will be the safety net that will help them succeed. And I was like, holy cow, that's fascinating. Because as a business owner, I'm saying, I'm looking at myself. I'm hiring highly qualified, very expensive people to do the work. The sign of a good business, in my opinion, at least from what I understand, is a business that has such phenomenal standard operating procedures. You can hire minimum qualified people, minimum level of effectiveness, and they can be effective.
Mhm.
And frankly, I think we have good standard operating procedures, but we need better ones. And frankly, the AI, the tools that I'm building with AI help us get there. The media planning tool that I'm building, I could hire someone with 2 or 3 or 5 years of experience in marketing and advertising. Through the AI systems, they get the benefit of all of our clients' knowledge and insights that we've talked about over the years. They get the benefit of what I talk about and what I know about marketing. They get the benefit of all of the data that has been filled through the pipelines of our business. All of that information becomes the baseline for which someone with 2 or 3 or 4 years of experience in marketing develops a phenomenal strategy, because they're not reliant on 2, 3, 4, or 5 years of experience. They're reliant on my 23 years that gets delivered through an AI pipe.
So essentially, what you have accumulated over the years, institutional knowledge, maybe it's in your head, but you can download it. You've written stuff, you produced a bunch of videos, you could download that stuff into an AI database or knowledge base, and that could power some of the systems that you're developing, and other people can come in and run it and develop your process.
Yeah. And it's not just ours. I mean, look, it's any system that I believe is valuable should be piped into that AI knowledge base. But the value there is me as the curator, right? And that's when you get to the point where the business is still a reflection. Look, one of the most important things that I think is relevant for businesses, especially professional services, is the business will be successful if it's an authentic representation or extension of the owner, and you like the people that you're working with.
Love that.
Which goes back to the super consumer. The most important part of this, of our whole process, is who are the people you love working with. And just as an aside, what's funny is there are 2 paths. There's a path of people that you love working with that don't pay you as much, but it really fills your soul. You like them, you're helping them, they're very grateful for it. And then there's the people who you like working with less, and they pay you a ton of money. And you need both, right? I think every client that we have in the professional services space that we start paying attention to this has that dichotomy of clients.
Well, if you can have them be the same people, that's the ultimate, isn't it?
That's the ultimate.
Yeah. So, by the way, I really love this E-Myth reference. I had Michael Gerber on this podcast about 10 months ago, and he might actually like to hear how you're refining his system in the E-Myth. So it's pretty cool. So, Robert, if people are hearing this and they want this growth system to be developed in their business, and they want to be able to have access to the other software components that you're developing that could amplify their business, maybe the LinkedIn warm-up system and this kind of stuff, where should they go and how can they learn more and connect with you?
Yeah. So the site that I think is most relevant right now is strategy.brillmedia.co. Strategy.brillmedia.co.
Mhm.
That is a breakout of what we do for businesses and what we do for agencies. You have pricing on there. I mean, to get a blueprint for a business, the diagnostic and strategy we spend an hour on the phone interviewing the person, the owner of the business. What are the economics? What has been working? Why is now the time? Tell me about your best clients and your worst clients, and et cetera. Just tell me stories about your business. $497. and you get a complete blueprint, a complete strategy of how your marketing should look, synthesized through our systems and processes so that you get off the marketing treadmill so you're not spending months and years and lots of money grasping at straws, Facebook and Google and LinkedIn, and why does none of it work? We'll solve it.
All right. So definitely check out strategy.brillmedia.co. See for yourself what you can get there and how you can get started with Robert and his team. So definitely connect with Robert on LinkedIn. And if you enjoyed this episode, stay tuned because every week we're coming with one or two exciting entrepreneurs who will share their framework with you. So thanks for coming, Robert, and sharing your experience. And thanks for listening. I appreciate you listening today. Stay connected. Sign up for my free weekly newsletter at steveperido.com/newsletter.